Hey everyone, just wanted to do a very quick preface to this interview before we get it underway. I flubbed the shit out of Jakob's name at the very beginning, but he is such a gem that he did not correct me. I addressed it a few minutes into the video, but just for my own sake, I wanted to to just call attention to it. But I hope that you guys really enjoyed this interview here. It's been my first interview in a few months. We talk about everything from his origins as a musician to how he got into the medieval reenactment scene, all of the bands and projects he's in. I introduced him as a man of many hats, and that could not be overstated. And then, of course, we also move into talking about, his perspectives on the Nordic music scene as it stands today, how much he's seen it grow since 2000. He's been around the block quite a bit. So I hope you all especially get to enjoy his insights more than halfway through the interview here on we talk about how in this music scene we can really dwell on how samey things can start to seem. And Jakob sort of starts a conversation on a very healthy, positive perspective on why we think that way and why a different perspective might be a little healthier and more realistic, given just how music grows and changes over time. So I'm going to stop rambling on now and let you guys listen to what is a really great interview here that I was very fortunate to have. Jakob, thank you for being on the channel. I hopefully will be seeing you in Colorado next month. So you guys enjoy the interview. Welcome back to the Nordic Sound Channel, everyone. As always, I'm your host, Jameson Foster, and for my first interview in months, I am honored to have Jacob Hee Lund here on the channel. A man of many musical hats. Not only is he one of the drummers of Heilung, he himself is a part of many folk music projects, particularly Arok, which is the newest one, if I understand correctly. You run so many workshops. You're even doing a few here in the States pretty soon. And you just launched a new project, Thrymskapr. So you have a lot going on, don't you?
Yeah, you can say so.
Yeah, and I will say so. It's
Yeah,
I'm always so impressed with how much professional musicians just get to just do all the time. It's really inspiring and intimidating in a lot of ways.
yeah. I think I think it's like bad behavior in a good way. Like it's hard not to get involved in different projects and also the fascination of just keep going,
Mhm.
like keep going on each project or like create a new thing or something. It's I think that's at least for myself, it's really nice.
Yeah, and
Um,
also, of course, it's good to, especially when you're a professional musician, just keep learning. Keep trying new things. That's what At least when I was in conservatory, it's the lesson that they try to teach you is just do not restrict yourself to one thing. In this day and age, you just kind of got to do whatever you can. Don't stop learning.
yeah, yeah. I I think that's the golden keyword in no matter how old you get.
Oh yeah,
Just
definitely. And no matter
keep,
what profession too, but musicians especially, we're expected to do a lot. Yeah.
yeah. Is it like for creative people just in general?
Oh yeah,
Like
that actually.
change it?
Thank you for the correction. Just creatives in general. Always got to be on your toes.
But musician of it? No, no,
and then
no.
uh and then I do real quick. Just want to correct myself. I mispronounced your name. It is Jacob Lund, not Hunt. That is my mistake. I just realized I got them switched around. So,
Yeah, no.
Jakob, speaking of versatility and always learning, I would love to hear more about your particular education or background in music. How did you get bit with the musician bug?
I got the long story. No.
Please do. I'd love
Um,
to hear it. Don't hold back.
yeah. I started playing drum kit in 1998, I think it was. Um, Before that, I play ice hockey, um, and then I need to switch to something different.
Hmm.
And then I was interested in drums. So it was drum kit, like pretty standard rock. Go forward with that.
Any
Um,
particular bands that you were inspired by on the drum kit or drummers?
um, I think my dad has a bit influence on my music taste. Like it
Mhm.
was more jazzy and rock, kind of.
Mhm.
So I was I had a bit inspiring of Bill Cobham. I think he's yeah, I really like his style of playing drums.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I think at that point it was more that fusion. Um, then I played along with like just Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that. So
I'm a
pretty
bassist. All of the bassists in our generation, we learned from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So
yeah,
I feel that.
yeah. And then and then I start to play some conga and djembe with my school teacher,
Mhm.
like music school teacher, and then I start 2004. Then I joined my first medieval music group, and I was um, I was I start to be part of this medieval group, uh, reenactor, and in that group there was two. It was a couple, and the two others was just jumping out of the band. So and they have a church concert, so they need someone to join them. And I knew I was playing drums, and there was another one playing flute, and then they asked me, and then the flute player, and then we have this band suddenly.
Awesome. What was this?
Uh,
What was this band called?
it was it was called Laikara.
Okay, cool.
It's like from the Icelandic,
Okay.
like um, what is it? The hired, like you hire someone.
Yeah, it's like a
Uh,
contract or a studio musician.
yeah, that was the meaning of the word.
Okay.
Like a liar, like a.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, and yeah, but it was really classic medieval music. Like she's an opera singer, and she's do that for full time now. So it was a lot of classic medieval music, also combined with a lot of. He was a school teacher as well, so he was really good to translate or tell about all the history stuff in the in the music, like all the instruments should be
Mhm.
correct and all that kind we played. Um, and I that led me into this more Middle East style of drumming,
Okay,
because
awesome.
yeah, so that's why we have all this music exchange in the early years, like from the Iron Age and
Mhm.
Viking Age and medieval time. Um, so a lot of instruments have been traveled
Mhm.
up in Europe. So that's our source for getting percussion instruments.
Mhm.
If we don't just have the typical shaman drum kind of,
Yeah,
but you also
exactly.
see in on the church uh, um, painting in the
Mhm.
church, then we can see different music instruments. Um,
Mhm.
I can show you some if you like.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to see it.
Uh, okay. It's a knickers or knickers. It's actually it's a Turkish uh, war drums they
Yeah.
have on horses, and traditional in Turkish play, they have the horse planted here,
Hmm.
but you see the church painting like people like you have it like here, and then you're playing. Um, I also have this one in clay. This
Hmm.
is in copper. Um, then you also see this one, the dabuka or the tabla is from Egypt.
Beautiful.
This one, and it's like playing like this
Hmm.
on the paint. Uh, it's really stupid to play it like this. Compare like the traditional ways I played like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the frame drums and uh, I don't have the small one, but the double
Awesome, dude.
I can. I'm in my studio, so
Oh yeah, it's your playground.
yeah, I have a lot of drums.
There's actually a pretty strong theory. You mentioned these being you mentioned two things, right? They're mentioned in church paintings, and they also came from the Middle East. Um, and there's actually a really strong theory that one of the origins for drumming being associated with Satanism and heathenism is actually because they were brought over from Muslim kingdoms and territories.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah, same
didn't.
thing with the
I didn't
fiddle.
knew.
The fiddle was introduced into Europe through North Africa and through Turkey and the Middle East. And so there are a lot of theories that those two instruments in particular, drums and the fiddle, right? The devil went down to Georgia. The fiddle is always associated with the devil. There's some
Mm,
pretty strong social history theories that the reason those were demonized pretty early is because they didn't come from Christian kingdoms.
yeah, one of the reasons why we don't have traditional in percussion and drums in the lot of Scandinavian
Mm-hmm.
part is that it's get banned from the church.
Yep.
Um, but it's also fun that we still have the painting where you
Yep.
actually see the drumming. But there is also I can't remember the name of the tunes for the fiddle, but it's like if you play this tune for the fiddle, it's like people going crazy and just
Oh, Fanatulin in Norway. Yeah, there's a Fanatulin, which is a howling, which will make people stab each other.
yeah, it it's amazing.
It's great. It's all witchcraft. Fiddling is magic, and that's why the church didn't like it.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting actually
Mhm.
with the history about where and yeah, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And speaking of which, where did your particular interest in historical music come from? Because it's funny, you were telling me the story. You went from Red Hot Chili Peppers to a medieval band. I would love to hear how or why you suddenly got into historical music practice or music making.
Okay, so
It's okay
in
if it's a long story. I want to hear it.
no, no. So I was playing a bit kind of grunge music on the
Mhm.
drums, and we have in the music school we have Northwest percussion.
Mhm.
So it was more fusion. That's why I played the conga, and I was like with the djembe as well.
Mhm.
So I was the conga and djembe player there. So I played that kind of fusion music, and then I have my own school grunge kind of band. And the same time, 2003, 2004, I started with my school
Mhm.
made a black metal band as well. Uh, so we were also creating black metal, um, and then I met my girlfriend, and she was part of this medieval place. It's actually pretty near where I live now.
Okay.
So she took me there, and then I I always have been kind of interested in reenactment, um, uh, but I didn't really had the opportunity to go there or to do anything about it.
Mhm.
And then suddenly I just was there, and I had this medieval clothes on, and then there was this people needing me for a band,
Yeah,
um, and then suddenly I was just part of a middle
awesome.
middle aged band, uh, and then I was just I always been or are still interested in drums and
Mhm.
yeah and
Did your
drumming.
did your time doing world music, at least in English we call it world music, I guess, is when you
Yeah,
just played that sort of stuff. Do you think your experience playing the djembe or other West African instruments sort of was that among the first things that sort of introduced you to like more traditional world music stuff, or were you already pretty into like traditional Scandinavian stuff?
I Scandinavian stuff is coming later.
Later,
Uh,
okay, so world music was sort of your first introduction to folk or like traditional music.
yeah, but I I think I one of the first rehearsal I had my djembe with me, but
Mhm.
it was like we don't have any sources that we have been using djembe in the north.
Oh
So it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah. That comes much later. That comes much later through France. Yeah.
yeah, so it was like okay, we cannot use this. So I was like okay, then I got help. Also, I have, but actually, the singer from that band, she have that drum. There was the first drum I had,
Mhm.
um, the double. It's like the big drum with
Yeah.
skin on both sides. Um, should I show you?
Yeah. Please, please. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Um, uh, no. Okay, I will find my drum later.
Okay,
Anyway,
it's all
this
good, man.
this is a actually I had the small drum is a
Mhm.
16-inch made by Eckermann, the drum builder I use now. This
Mhm.
is Dave Roman. He's a builder in Germany.
Mhm.
So I had the small one, and I would like to have a bigger one.
Yeah.
And then I got this one. So this is that this drum is from 2006 or something, and I still have the same skin on here. This is a deer skin. Uh, I got a beater, mallet,
Mhm.
created with wool. So all the nanolin is put it here. So this is kind of you have the tabla.
That's a
Uh,
beautiful sound.
yeah, I still use this for recording because it's very deep, and
Yep.
I just uh, repaired like an at Gaffer. Um, so it's not reliable for
Mhm.
playing that much, but it's just a nice drum. But anyway, the traditional play of this double is
Mhm.
like you have a strip
Mhm.
on here, and then you have a thin stick on your left hand, or
Mhm.
like this hand, and then you have a beater on the other one, and then you hold it like this, and then you have in Turkish and Middle East style, you have the sooner,
Mhm.
uh, Skalmai, where they're playing together with that one. They
Awesome.
are also used in Balkan music,
Mhm.
where you add the cymbal in top and play.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. The reason I was curious about that is because I part of being an ethnomusicology PhD is part of your job is that you have to assist the world music classes. It's just it's everyone's rite of passage they have to do as a grad student. And this semester, I'm actually assisting West African drumming. So every Monday night, so just last night, I'm there until 10 p.m. teaching kids how to play or helping teach kids how to play djembe or the sogo or all these West African drums. Last semester, it was Japanese taiko drumming. Um,
Oh yeah,
and so the reason I ask is because all these American college students are signing up for these electives because they have to. And it's so interesting watching a lot of them interact with what is very often their very first encounter with like traditional music.
yeah,
And it's so fun watching over the course of a semester all of these young college students sort of process how different music can be, especially through something as relatable as a drum because taiko drum in Japan, or the djembe or the sogo in or panogo from West Africa. It's so cool seeing the effect that has on people right in front of me. Because the
Yeah,
same thing happened to me, same thing happened to you. It's
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah. It's drum. There's some special thing with drums, I guess.
Oh, very. Yeah. We could spend even more time talking about just drumming, and maybe we will.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that could be cool.
yeah. So you so world music sort of introduces you to traditional music, and you already have this background in grunge, black metal, Red Hot Chili Peppers, a whole gumbo or a hodgepodge smorgasbord of
Yeah.
different musical backgrounds. Um, so where do you go after that? That very first band you played, because clearly you still work with folk music and medieval music today. I know you just played with Nana Barslev very recently. Um,
Yeah.
so what other projects are you doing in that vein, and what sort of drives you in that way?
Okay. Um, I'll go back in time.
Yeah,
No.
please. Yeah, yeah.
Um, at the so I have my black metal band with my other friend Jacob, um, and I play medieval music. I do that a couple of years, and then I oh, there's a lot of stuff. So the singer, at some point, the singer of the medieval band, she also liked Nightwish, that kind of
Okay.
music. So she started a band where it's like you have two violins and one cello player.
Mhm,
No, one violin and one brass
mhm.
and one cello, one guitar, bass, and drums.
Okay.
And she, so it's very classic and play along the drums with Sibelius or the MIDI sounding. So, but it was fun to play like more together how with all the music. So I played that for some years in 2007, 8 to 10 kind of.
Mhm.
Um, then I also start. I also really like Jordi Savala, Saval. Jordi Saval. He is a Spain viola de gambe player. He he's crazy, mind blowing. Uh, he's a kind of classic music,
Mhm.
but he just like do this with so he just makes so much music. It's
Mhm.
like crazy, and it's like this big books you have, like yeah, it's he's really a master.
Yep.
Um, so I was really into I still like his music. And then I met this lady. She also played viola da gamba,
Mhm.
um, and she also played a medieval band. So I also played a bit with her in the medieval band, and then we start a band together, like two of us. So it's really kind of classic. So we
Mhm.
have viola da gamba and then percussion, just instrumental.
That's got to be
Instrument.
beautiful. Those are two beautiful instruments together.
Yeah, yeah, it was really nice. And then at some point we uh, asked my so in the meantime here, um, uh, I think it was 2009. Uh, this folk metal band, Huldre.
Okay.
Uh, um, I know Nana Barslev from playing in Gny, her Viking band,
Mhm.
um, and I have seen her a couple of times, like performing. Um, and then a friend of mine's friend, who was friend with the bass player, who is a computer guy, asked that they need a drummer, and then I was like, okay, I do it. And then I called Nana, and I was like, hey, uh, you need a drummer, and then I got the audition, and then yeah, then they like to play with me.
Mhm.
So I was a part of the band, and they were really having a hard time with me.
Oh no.
uh, like um, I really developed myself
Mhm.
in that period for drum kit playing because it
Mhm.
was always have been playing kind of percussion, and suddenly you're playing the drum kit, and it's kind of different.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's good. So it's like bunch of different constellation of groups and bands going on here. Kind of mixture of a lot of things in the from 2008 to 10 kind of.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, so I'm getting a part of in the Huldre. Um, at that point, we don't have the hurdy-gurdy player. Uh, and the hurdy-gurdy player, he's also like part of the medieval scene.
Mhm.
Uh, and in the medieval scene here in Denmark, at least, everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
uh, so I was like, hey, it could be cool if we have this hurdy-gurdy player. So we invite him to be part of it, and he played the hurdy-gurdy and flute as well. Um, that's also Troels, the flute player I play with now in a rock. Uh,
It's
and
all
so
connected, man.
yeah, totally. It's it's yeah, it's really like this.
Yeah, and I've actually just on that real quick. There's this. So my audience is primarily American. So typically I love to have conversations with you wonderful Scandinavian musicians with that context that Americans always have something to learn when it comes
Oh,
to Scandinavia. And I think there's this image that so Americans who are really into this style of music, we get this image in our heads that this style of music, medieval music and everything, is mainstream over there. Everyone's listening to it, everyone's going to reenactments, everyone's doing this. But it seems to me like you're sort of explaining this more niche, tight-knit community, or is it
it
more mainstream?
um I've in the early 2000 uh it's totally more mainstream in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Like each city in Germany kind of have their own medieval market. And I think I don't know exactly, but slowly in Denmark at least we getting more and more medieval markets as well around. So in that term, it's more a novel thing to
Yeah.
have medieval markets and medieval places. But the society in the medieval reenactment is small.
Yeah.
So it's the same people going from everyone, all of the markets.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
so that's kind of a family.
Mhm.
Kind it's a lot of people there's traveling and from each festival to each festival.
Yeah, yeah. You learn to live with each other, yeah?
Yeah, so to say. Um, but then in I think it was 2009. Uh, I at the main time Virelai, uh, the medieval is a medieval group.
Mhm.
Um, so Juan, Anna Katrin, and
Okay.
Søren and Martin
Mhm.
is like Virelai.
Okay.
At the same time, they also are Valravn. Valravn is also having Christopher Juhl as the main electronic guy, and then they have the guest singer Maria,
Okay.
because Maria and Christopher was a couple, or is a couple. Uh, so these two groups, Virelai and Valravn, is performing, and Valravn is getting more popular, public, public, popular. How do you say public?
Popular?
No, Yes, thank you.
So, hey, if I had to do this conversation in Danish, I would be bombing. Okay, so you're don't worry about it. Don't worry about pronunciations.
No, no. Anyway, then Huang is also the when we start Heilung,
Mhm,
me, Huang, and Alex is like the first drummers there.
mhm.
Now I'm just trying to put all this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, ropes here. Um, but Huang, he's quitting. No, sorry, Anna Catherine. Anna Catherine, she's from Faroe Island. She do electronic classic music now on the conservatory. Also very interesting music she make. She quitting Virelai. Then Mia Gullhammer is coming in to this
Mhm,
group. Um, then Huang is quitting at some point, and then there's a German guy coming in and play 1 year or something, and then he quit, and then I slowly get in touch with them, and then so I will getting to be part of that band, that group. Virelai, like
mhm.
Virelai is like I remember I was on in Copenhagen medieval market, and they were playing Virelai, and it was like, wow, it's like the it was like the how do you say, like the famous people in medieval music in Denmark.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, they were the hot shots, the celebrities.
yeah, like, yeah. Um, so I was seeing them, and then suddenly to be asked, it was like really an honor to be
Mhm,
part of it. Um, and from that point, when I start realize, I really traveled a lot of
mhm.
different Viking and medieval markets. Um, and yeah, so yeah. Um, then I I'm getting busy with Virelai. Huldre Fable is the Gambe Lud.
Yep,
And then I had this Lily and the Wicked Strings is the it's the Nightwish kind of
yep,
uh, gothic gothic metal,
yep.
and I have my black metal going on there. Actually, there was also another group um, I get in touch with. It was two ladies. It was one singer and one flute player, and then was drumming. But that was a bit later. It was like 2010 to 12, I think. I
Mhm.
played with them. Then I was quitting Lily, the Gothic group. Um, so yeah, it's getting a bit smaller in
Yeah.
music groups. Um, I live at that point. I live in Copenhagen, uh, and then I moved here to the countryside in 2011,
Mhm.
in the late 11, uh, and then 2012, I are living here for real.
Awesome.
Uh, yeah, and then I got my first child in 12, and then I was like having a break for the
Mhm.
black metal band because you need to be trained in your
Yeah, yeah,
muscles
yeah.
to be able to do it, and I couldn't afford the time to do that
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, that's what I've
Um,
been thinking of this whole time is where did you have the time to do all of this? You had your hand literally you had your hand full with projects. It's amazing you found the time to do it. How did you have an approach, or just in case there are any musicians listening who are having the same question I am, did you have an approach to staying fresh and up to date with all of that music to keep track of?
just do it.
Beautiful. I honestly I was hoping that was your answer.
Okay.
You just do it.
Yeah, I don't. At at some point, I worked as a phaser for Greenpeace. Uh,
Okay, cool.
when I was living in a community in Copenhagen, so it's like I really have cheap rent.
Hmm.
Uh, so I worked with that, and then I kind of then I worked in a school as a after school where the kids could go.
Yeah.
And I worked there to when I moved here in Copenhagen, and then I have 1 year to 12 where I was working in schools as well,
Hmm.
also doing music, and then the music was just getting more and more of the time. I was like, I really want to do the music, so it was like really hard to combine music and to have a normal job
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to do. Uh, so from 2012, I quit my job, and then I have been full-time musician since. Um, so
That's the
and
dream.
yeah, it's really nice and it's amazing, but it, um, it's good amount of money to survive.
Yeah, yeah, not to sugarcoat it. It's awesome, but it has its struggles, yeah?
Mhm. Yeah, and you got
Exactly.
payment like randomly, like you have no clue on
It just
actually.
keeps coming every month. It doesn't stop.
No, like it's more like, okay, I don't have any jobs this month, and I have this amount of money, and oh, I need this drum. Oh, suddenly, oh no, I don't have any money.
Oh
No,
man.
no, but it's not like a regular job where you paid every first or
Mhm.
30 or like end of month. Um, and I think some people can work with that, and some people can definitely not do that.
I can't.
Yeah.
I had an option, right? When I was in my early 20s, you can be a
Yeah.
musician and you don't know when that next paycheck is going to come, or you
Hmm.
can be more stable. And that scared the hell out of me, just not knowing. So well, luckily I still find the opportunities to play music, but what you're talking about is resonating with me very strongly.
Yeah.
That was what
Yeah.
scared me the most about it.
Yeah. And I think it's getting harder as older you
Yeah,
getting.
because it's not easy to do. It's very demanding.
Mm. And you're getting more settled when you get older, and like yeah. I mean, of course you can do it anytime if you want to do it. Um, yeah, but Virelai, my medieval band,
Mhm.
was and still is um, my main band where I earn my money from. Uh,
Beautiful.
and then all the other is like it's just good to have. Like it's yeah, it's it's that. I think it's also if you want to do musician full time, you also need to be session musician or like and be creative and just like we start like to keep going and
Mhm.
develop things and one thing I really realized mm, for many years that I I really get bored to just if I was just playing one genre
Mhm.
or just I really like to have all these kind of different um, environment or shows. Like when we play with Viola, it's like really in front, and we have many school concerts and acoustic concerts and big concerts and Heilung we have this big concerts and you really don't see anything and
Yeah.
people are away and like
You
it's
got that fog machine, you can't see anything.
hello and it was a really nice experience to have to play big concerts with Huldre. Uh,
Mhm.
they actually had a drummer and played this drum kit, and like yeah, it's like I really enjoy to have that
Mhm.
different um, bands and experience in concerts. Like I think it's
Yeah.
there's another word, but like yeah.
No, definitely. You're actually reminding me of my old one of my old roommates back in college. He is still like one of the most talented guitarists I've ever met. And if
Hmm.
Mark, if you're listening, I mean it, man. So he, what was really incredible about him is after we graduated, it was one of these things where it's just like, what is he going to do? We don't have classes anymore. What is he going to do outside of recitals and lessons? He disappears for a year or two, and all of a sudden I find out he's playing country music in Nashville. Now, I don't know how much money he's making, but that dude's happy as hell. He is always posting. He'll do those gigs in Nashville where you just sit up on a stage, people will give you like $100 to play this tune, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's how he's making his living. And I know for a fact he would not be making that living that looks amazing from a distance. Again, I don't know what it's like actually living that, right?
Hmm.
But he would not be able to make that living if he was not versatile, if he was not able to play all these different genres, and more importantly, if he didn't, because he when I was his roommate, he never even talked about country music. And now all of a sudden
No,
he's playing these stadium gigs for country musicians. And somewhere along the line, he was like, I'll try country. And now very clearly that's working out for him.
wow,
So
that's
what you're
amazing.
saying is very much resonating.
Yeah, wow, that's really nice,
It
amazing
is
story.
nice, yeah.
Yeah.
He posted a video of someone, he was in like a Nashville bar and he said someone paid me $100 to play Ozzy. And he's just like, and he's just going off on it. So no, it's awesome. What you're saying is definitely important, right? The versatility and being able to do multiple things and keeping yourself open.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also really fascinate with people that really nerd one instrument. Like
Equally
it's like
fascinating. Yeah.
yeah, and can be yeah any kind of instrument. Like
Mhm.
and it's just I realized that I cannot afford to play just one drum and
Yep.
be. It's, I need to have more different sounds and tools and
Oh yeah, I feel that I've got a very eclectic music collection around here. I got the tall harp, I play the banjo, I play the upright bass. It's just like I'm just like you. I keep collecting instruments, right? And I
Mhm.
just need to play all the different kinds of styles. And people who follow my music, I think, get whiplash because one day I'll post black metal, the next day I'm doing Americana. So I relate to you very much so.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
So so Jakob, when did Heilung come around into this?
Yeah, um, uh, I knew Chris and Maria
Mhm,
because Søren and Martin were playing in Valorant with them.
mhm,
Um, and was it 2015 maybe?
mhm,
I can't. Uh, I think it was 15 or 16.
mhm,
I was playing at Borg Viking Market in Norway.
mhm.
Um,
Okay, so Midgardsblot for those listening who
yeah,
that's where Midgardsblot is now, yeah?
yeah. So it's like you have the Gile Hall
Mhm.
here, and then it's like more into the woods where the
Yep.
Viking Market is. Chris and Maria was there as well, just with his dad and mom, and they were just cozy.
Mhm,
Um, I think that was where I would get more in touch with them,
mhm.
and I think they released the first album of New. Um, uh, yeah, there was because I remember we were talking about Castlefest. Castlefest have also always been like this top of pop if you
Yep.
could go there and play. Um, so it, I don't know, but
We call it a rite of passage. It seems like it's one of that Castle Fest is one of the places to play if you want to, if you want to like make it in that medieval thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. At least, yeah, it has been like that. I
Yep.
don't know how it has now.
Yeah.
But we put it in the box. I don't know, but um, yeah, we talked about that uh, at the, and then I have this concert in Amager. It's near Copenhagen.
Mhm.
Um, it's a really small venue, and we knew that there's Indian uh, music festival coordinator, like he did the music festival in India.
Mhm.
They were coming to this show as well, and Chris and Maria was coming to the show, and then we just played with the Virelai. Um, and then I talked with Chris and Maria afterward outside that they were trying to like collect people into to
That's a
Heilung.
good way to word it. Collecting people for such a big band.
Yeah, um, and then so that was in 2015 or 16. I can't remember. Uh, and then we going to India and play there with Virelai, and then no, because it's 17, right? We're playing at Castlefest. You know.
Sure. I don't know off the top of my head. Numbers aren't my strength.
No, I think it's 17. I can't remember. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's kind of the beginning of um, so we do some rehearsal in the studio at Amma where they live.
Mhm.
Um, I'm preparing and we're talking about how to do it, and then we have the very secret pre-show, like it's not pre-show, but like rehearsal show
Mhm.
how to do. So it's like the first time we paint ourselves,
Awesome.
and but it was without any warriors. So the warriors was just coming at a castle fest.
Mhm.
So we kind of didn't really knew that much about it. I was like, I think the whole thing was a bit kind of chaotic, and we, try this and this. Maybe
That's where the magic comes from. The magic comes from chaos.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, so we had Castlefest booked, and then we had Mikos booked.
Mhm.
Uh, and then we played Castlefest and did did the whole video from there, and then we went to yeah, and then we went to Mikos and played, and then there was the label
Mhm.
company people there, and then they got signed, and then I was to another concert where they play with Songlager with some
Mhm.
other people.
Yep.
It's a Russian folk band, uh, Yo,
Okay.
Ottava Yo. It's really nice traditional Russian folk music. Uh, I was I did meet them in India,
Mhm.
and then they play. Uh, complicated. The lady there was our tour guide in India. She was also doing this world music festivals in Copenhagen. So she invited Octavio and Songlager and third band to this show. And then I talked with Chris about that they was get signed with the Season of Mist at that show. It's, it's just fun to remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah, then um,
So a question I've got for you. So oh, this is you've been around a lot longer than I thought you were. So this is actually amazing. Because I now get to ask you one of my favorite questions to ask people
But
who've been around the block as many times as you have. What have you noticed in the change in popularity of this music genre over the last 10 or 15 years or so? Because it's gotten very popular. Yeah.
hmm yeah.
What have you noticed about just uh, how it's changed over the last decade or so? I'd love to hear about that from you.
hmm Yeah. I really have been thinking and struggling about it as well.
Yep.
Um,
And please feel free to speak your mind. I would love to hear just what you think.
yeah. Um, I remember one of the first Vardrona, my friend Jacob. I played the black metal with.
Hmm.
He was discovering Vardrona,
Hmm.
and then we were listening to that. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I remember we have been playing a lot of in Bergen
Hmm.
at the Viking market there, and I we came Saturday and at Friday. I just knew that I get told that inside this small little house they will have this Vadrona show in the
Was that in
very
the Greek Holland?
no, it's no, it's
Or
way
was it Greek's
earlier.
house?
No, it's um, Björkvin Björkvin market.
Okay, okay.
It's a small Viking market near Bergen.
Okay, gotcha. Because I just remember that at least Einar played in Edvard Grieg's little hut. He has his composition hut that he would write music in, and I know Einar played there recently.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that
Okay.
was the same thing, but
Yeah.
sorry to
No, no.
interrupt.
This is like 2014 or 15 or something. I
Okay.
don't know. So very in the early years.
Hmm.
But I just remember like this. Oh, damn it! I really would like to see the show.
Yeah.
Um. Uh. Anyway. Uh. So that's kind of my slow into that kind of music, and of
Hmm.
course I play a lot of. I one thing. um. Because okay, so we just keep this Nordic how this kind of music. We put
Hmm.
it in this.
Yep.
Uh, in the meantime, if we go back in time, there is another medieval band, and this guy in that band, he's really talented and play a lot of instruments and really nice. He were going to this. Rod. Um, Rod is a folk music um, come together. What is that for group?
Gathering.
Yeah, it's a folk gathering
Okay.
from people from 15 to 25. So that's
Okay.
the slot, how old you can be. And it's a week where you're playing, and you have small groups, and then you have the big play. And
Oh,
this
so it's
is,
like a camp.
yeah, it's a like a camp.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to this camp uh, 3, 4 times. Uh, and that was like more where I get into folk traditional kind of music and
Okay. It all starts
uh,
at camp.
yeah. um, yeah, that was I was just remembering about that for you asking where my folk
Hmm.
music were coming from, and I was like, that's from this old.
Okay.
So we have that camp, then we have another camp from a bit older people, and
Mhm.
another camp. So there's a lot. So there's the folk music society have been growing in Denmark
Mhm.
uh, at the last couple of years. More young people getting into folk music, and I can take that red thread to uh, now where we are about. I think I have been thinking about a lot of because there was Wadrona playing, and then Heilung
Mhm.
came up. So that's kind of the big bands at
Mhm.
that point in 2017 something. and then there's like just exploded with
Yep.
a lot of all different kind of bands, and they are at the same time getting grow bigger, so people know about them. Um, I don't know exactly what time they were starting, and but it's like just you have this main, at least for my uh, point of view,
Mhm.
uh, and I I really been thinking about this because there's so many, and the sound is really kind of the same sound, um, and 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 I think like, can you not develop something new or something? But I then I think, okay, if we go to the 80s or the 70s or 50s, then you have this beginning of rock. It's the same. It's like all the same sound and same bands, and if you're going to play punk, you have this punk sound, and then you have the yeah all that different genres. It's like, so I tell myself, or I'm telling myself like, okay, so we are actually experienced that right now, that there's a new genre created or creating, uh, and that's actually what we are um, learning and seeing, and I think that's very interesting, and I
Mhm.
think that's for myself, if I have that knowing and listen to different music, or in this new genre of, I don't know what we can call it, heathen.
I'm still wrestling with that. I have
Yeah,
no idea. On principle, I don't want to call it Viking music, but that's
no,
what everyone calls it. And so I'm always fighting with myself. Like, don't call it that, but then what else am I going to call it? But I struggle with that same thing.
yeah, yeah, but it's like it's music in heathen, Nordic, early historical music
Mhm.
vibes. It's like something we want to bring back,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, I lost the thread. Yeah, but
Oh, it's all good, but I think you have a very I really like your perspective. I think it's a really healthy perspective to have, and I share it
mm,
because so I teach music appreciation. I teach music history, music appreciation, and so I 100% share your perspective that if you actually go back to all of the music, the beginning of all of the music genres we have today, they
mm,
didn't get as varied as they are now overnight. Not even in the same decade. How
no,
many Beatles copycats or carbon copies were there just from 63, 62, whenever their first Ed Sullivan show was, all the way into
mm-hmm,
the 70s? Like there was no one else that was really doing anything different outside of the Rolling Stones, really. And
yeah,
so if you look at it like that, I think that's just such a healthy perspective to have because just from the work that I do here on this channel is you get so many pessimistic or negative opinions that, oh, because it all sounds the same, that means that it's going to die or that means that it's not going to grow. And I think that you could have said the same thing for any other genre in its first
mm,
decade.
yeah,
Um, and it doesn't change until later when people bring in or when people get a little, I would say, brave or bold enough
mm,
to add something different.
yeah,
Um, and I see that in new band. I do. I see it in new bands today. Not all of them. You have a lot of the samey thing you're talking about,
yeah,
but there's a healthy enough amount of younger new musicians I see really trying to do something new.
mm,
And even if it doesn't immediately become a success overnight, I think that just seeing people try to do new things and, at least in my opinion, succeed in making interesting new music based off of Heilung and Vardruna,
yeah,
um, I see a lot of potential for growth that might just require a little bit more forward thinking to see happen. Um, yeah, that's just what I have to say about it. I think that a lot of people get hung up on the samey, because there's a lot of it, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Um, and I think people hyper focus on that sameness too much. In the same way that this is so it's God, I love that you said this because now my brain is just going everywhere. Because this is what people said about every band after Led Zeppelin. Oh, it's just Led Zeppelin, but worse. Or it's just Led Zeppelin, but more boring. That's what everyone said about every people said that about Black Sabbath. Look at where they ended up, right? So you have everyone in the first years saying, "Oh, it's all the same. They're all just copying Led Zeppelin." But
Yeah.
then eventually, as I said, you get Black Sabbath, you get Yes, you get Rush, and all these bands come out of this larger attitude that the public has that it's all just Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
we're in that. You are right. We are in that right now, where it's sort of easier to see all of the sameness than it is to
Mm.
sort of see the potential for something new to come out of it. And that's
Yeah.
why I see a lot of potential in this genre.
Yeah. Definitely. And yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I think, and you
Some,
you can offer your own perspective, but I think the important thing is for because I know there are a lot of new bands who do listen to this podcast or watch these videos, and I think that, and this is a lesson that I always sort of try and give just as a journalist, not as because this isn't the type of music I play, but just as someone who studies it and covers it and does this sort of thing, is I think it's really important to just like sort of like have confidence in yourself to not copy too much.
yeah.
This especially, you can pick out a mile away. Does this musician love Vardruna or do they love Heilung? And which
Mhm.
part of it are they copying and how much of it are they copying, right? Because you said those are the
Yeah.
core pillars, and I would agree.
Yeah.
Vardruna and
But is it
Heilung.
like
Yep.
maybe it's better to like get inspired by
Yes.
if we're gonna be more politically correct or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's I mean it's really easy as well for me to just oh, that's another band. Oh, there's another band and um and that's just too easy. I think and to be grumpy kind of. I think
Very
at
much so.
least what with this knowledge that we are and then take the approach to that it is some amazing experience we are having now because this music is a whole new genre. It's growing and it's developing and it's just keep keep getting added and um and for that I have been also when I when I was still developing my Asian drumming,
Mhm,
ancient drumming,
mhm.
I also thinking a lot of like, okay, what is ancient drumming for myself? What's that? Like, what is just a drum when it should be ancient? Um, and then it's like take the drum and make this boom, 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 boom. And that is something in your body that's get the feeling of something old or something ancient. Um, and I think that is good to bring into this like throat singing or some bass or and that kind of stuff that it's touched you in ancient way or it's like there's something old happening in your body
Mhm.
and it's just like um, it's hard to develop new thing to hit on the drum
Yeah.
and make the bass and not make the same sound.
Yeah, because I
So,
deal with that where like because I'm reviewing it, right? People send me music and I listen to it and I don't review everything. My policy is that I will only review music that I like,
mhm,
and that's just because I don't want to. I don't like being negative. I don't like criticizing, and so that's sort of my. It might be disingenuous. Oh, he only reviews music he likes, but that's just for my own sanity. I don't. And I actually have to deal with what you said a lot, where I actually, that first okay, this again. I have to actually allow myself to feel that way before I
Hmm.
listen to it a second time. So then I can pay attention to what's new. So
Yeah.
when you said that, like, okay, this is more of the same, I felt that because that is always what I have to deal with at first.
Yeah.
And that's probably just because, as you said, we're in the very young stages of a new style. How many people sounded like Bob Dylan when they were trying to do folk music in the 60s, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
they ended up doing something pretty cool. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that perspective, man. I really appreciate that.
Sure. Of course. It's it's just nice to talk about
Mhm.
and also share my own thoughts about it. Um. Yeah.
Yeah, it's greatly appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? No, no, I forgot it.
It's all good. I think, and the other thing I want to say is something that's actually interesting about because I share your thoughts about or at least your sentiment about how cool it is to actually be alive during a new genre being started, especially this one, I think. And you can offer your thoughts on this too, since you've been around this music a lot longer than I have. But
Hmm.
what I've noticed is very few, you know, I just mentioned Bob Dylan. Very few music styles are so closely associated with, I don't want to say I don't want to say a political idea, but like a social idea of a lot of the people who come to this music do so because they're not entirely happy with the way things are like in life or like in everyday life. And so
Mm,
something
yeah.
that's also interesting to me is not only to see the music grow, but an ideology, a sort of social ethic, if I can be a total dork about it, that is sort of developing alongside the music.
Yeah, I think you can combine how do you what is the word like it's the same thing as when reactor reactment
Mhm.
whatever reactment you're doing is like now I take this hat on and now you have also this hat on and then we are together with this same hat and then if if I have a mobile phone and you have a Android that doesn't matter and then it's like we can be equal in in the reactment part. It make us come together and um and if we start to talk politic thing in reactment we it's just going in a bad way because there's a lot of different
Oh,
people.
I know. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah. And it'd be
um
more funny if you guys had a rule that you can only talk about politics relevant to the time period you're reenacting.
yeah, that could be
You
nice
can
but
only complain about the taxes or something.
yeah, oh, the king is so bad.
The damn
Yeah.
chieftain.
Yeah, but my um my point was just that this music create kind of the same thing that that now you're going to this kind of show, whatever show it is. It's a music and it make us we can dress up and we can be equal in this yeah it make it's really fascinating to I mean it's also kind of in a metal show
Mhm.
metalheads is also really kind and
Yeah.
helping each other and some might are Nazis and some others might hippies or I don't know. It's like, but we kind of help each other,
Mhm.
um, and I think um, that's the beautiful part in reenactment or like whatever it is. Maybe it's my romantic imagination of
No.
how it is, but I don't know. But it's just with the okay, for a Heilung show, there's a lot of people coming dressed up, and that's amazing. And I've it's it's amazing to be part of this. There's getting to be more like a society. Can you say that? Like
Mhm.
people gathering together
It's a
around.
culture.
Yeah, And so I think it's in my point with this folk camp I was
Hmm.
talking about is that is growing, and this Viking, now we
Hmm.
just make the term Viking on it. Music is it's expanding, and it's growing, and more from 2010 to 9 to now. It's like so crazy how many people now there's actually want to have this lyre and play on it, and
Yeah, I what
tackle
I think
harper.
what I think is interesting is just I could be biased just because this is my perspective, right? But I think there's something to be said about the growing popularity in just older music in general, whether it's traditional folk music. So I'm in Colorado, and you're going to be here in a month or so. And
Mhm.
Colorado has a massive bluegrass scene. I love
Yeah.
it because I'm a bluegrass player. I play the upright bass. That's my genre. Um, and the reason it got so big in Colorado was because people were moving here from mostly the East Coast for tech jobs. And when they were out here, all of a sudden they felt lost, unrooted, and they wanted a way to. And this is the phrase that I use that shows up in Matthias's new book. And know that I told him this phrase. Okay, I allowed
Uh,
him to use this phrase in the introduction. Collective imagining. Okay, and this is an
uh-huh.
idea. This is exactly what you're talking about. When people show up to the Heilung show, and all of a sudden they're dressing up and they're really into it, and for just a brief moment, everyone gets along. Everyone's on the same page. Is a
Mhm.
result of everyone coming together and collectively imagining something better than what we have.
Mhm.
And the reason I find this so fascinating is because that's the same behavior you see at a bluegrass festival. if
Yeah.
you if you are ever fortunate enough to go to a bluegrass festival in Colorado, it is the closest that America has to a Viking market. All right.
Yeah. Oh,
People set up camps and they have like very specific rules about what they allow themselves to do while at camp. They don't even bring their phones with them. It's just like Woodstock. All right.
oh
And
yeah.
it's a way for people to sort of pretend that we're back in this time where there was more of a communal living,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
People were more
That's nice.
connected. You had neighbors that you talked to. Imagine that. And
Yeah.
that's was what I that is the commonality between all of the genres that I'm interested in. Is they
Yeah.
almost all of them have that collective imagining of something different than what we have, inspired by lessons we can learn from going to the past and looking at that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I love
Definitely.
that that's what you just brought up. That's why I love it.
Yeah. Me too. I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
And
especially
I.
Midgardsblot. If you go to the drum circle that happens by the campground, my listeners are probably tired of hearing me just gush about this, but it's one of the most beautiful things you'll experience, and you can tell who's new, you can tell who's never done it before, because there's that hesitance. People are sort of like, "Am I? Can I do this? Am I allowed to be comfortable with this?" And over the week, you see people open up, and it's that idea that we're all sort of just around the fire, right? We're all very
Yeah.
different politically. You know that. You hear the little conversations that happen off to the side. But around the fire, that doesn't really matter so much.
No. That's the gathering and people getting together, and yeah. That's that. Yeah. That's really a part of the human behavior. Like we want to do that, to be in groups, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I
Is this a good segue into Thrymskapr?
I my Thrymskapr is actually a word I was struggling with because I was like I would like to have a word for creating drums. You a lot of people um it's it's like calling it drum birth, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like I would like to make it some more Scandinavian word,
Mm-hmm.
and creation in Danish is skabe. So I was talking with Matthias about um, how to what would be the old word for scapelse, creation, um, and then drum. So it would be like drum creation, and um, then we came up, or he came up with Thrymskapr. Uh, so that's kind of that's is actually just for drum creation or drum birth or drum
Mhm.
make your own drum. That part, and then I had my Asian drumming where we it's like drumming class
Mhm.
or where we play drums. Um,
Yeah, so it's a drumming class.
yeah, the ancient drumming is more I still developing.
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
um, I do a lot of techniques, uh, and I think I might should level it a bit down because it's um, it's a lot of information I move into people's head.
I think it's fine to do it that way, but as you said, just do it.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a ancient drumming is I also call it in Danish as ur.
Mhm.
That's the same word. You are
Yeah,
ur.
actually, um, I'm so sorry. Nick Shipper, when I interviewed him here at CU, he actually was telling us all about this conversation that you guys had about ur,
About ur.
about the word you're talking about.
Oh
So
yeah,
now I'd love to hear it from you directly, yeah?
yeah, yeah. I still need to see the interview with him. I didn't see it. So
Oh, it's all good.
um,
There's no pressure. I'm sure you talk to him plenty, yeah?
yes, maybe, maybe I know him. No, yeah, we talked a lot.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and I think it's good for myself to get more into my own roots because actually I just have a small period like where I was like a bit lost in where my own roots
Mhm.
was, like to see all this native people around the world, uh, like really fighting for their rights,
Mhm.
uh, and then I suddenly feel like that I was a bit culture homeless. Um uh, and then I was talking with someone, and he told me like that I'm actually just middle in the culture part of a different culture.
Yeah.
It's just fun to suddenly get lost in in culture lost feeling.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then I was just like, okay, I need to grab my own roots and actually figure out that. And then I was okay. I really like to build drums um, and creating them, and I would like to have a different word than drum birth. Or I think that's the most common word for creating drum,
Mhm.
and I've been that for many years. So I was curious to make a different word for it, and then creation, scapers, scapers, scaper, was like the old word we have for creation in Danish, and then the scap king, yeah. Um, so that's that's is, that is this what that is this one.
It's all good,
Um,
man.
yeah, um, and I'm not sure if I should make it together with drumming or it's like two separate things. Is still my struggling because it's a bit new.
Mhm.
Because yeah, that's yeah. But right now it's like two different things. Like Thrymskapr is drum creation and Asian drumming is like drumming. Uh,
That's awesome. So you're gonna be in Alabama next month or very soon. You're gonna be in Alabama. Did I read that correctly? You're running one of your first ones of these, teaching people how to make drums and play them.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks, I guess, kind of. I'm going to 20.
Yep.
So it's um, um I did. I have run a couple of build workshops.
Mhm.
Um, the last one was in Berlin. I think that was last month. Uh, and then I I I did some more. I can't remember right now, but um, yeah. So it's growing with the building of drums as well, and it's nice to create drums for people and make a ceremony with it and
Yeah.
make some ritual. Um, and try to add some more spiritual into it. Um, so yeah, it's kind of developing, and it's really nice with the Ravenwood
Mhm.
meadery where we going in Alabama, um, with the cooperation with the Huldre
Yep.
and
Yeah, it's so
Matthias.
cool that you're doing that with them.
What?
It's so cool that you're doing that with them.
Yeah, it's amazing. I yeah, and we have been talking for a year now, Matthias and me, for
Mhm.
doing some more cooperation. So this is kind of the first thing, and then we have some more on the tapestry. Can
Awesome.
you
Yeah,
say that?
because I think you will find that a lot of America, like what you just said about feeling culturally homeless,
Yeah, I know, I
that's like
know.
the
It's like,
American default, right?
yeah, I know. That's
That's
why I cannot like.
specifically why I do bluegrass. That's why I pick up bluegrass and all that, because people always ask me, oh, you run the Nordic Sound Channel. Are you Scandinavian? No, I have no Scandinavian heritage. I'm a mutt in every sense of the word. Just from any part, if it touches the North Sea, that's where my family comes from. Um, and so like that's not focused. I don't that doesn't help me at all, right? So
No.
at some point in my early adulthood, I just found that bluegrass because I'm from like just outside of Appalachia. I grew up hearing bluegrass and banjos, and so that's why I finally settled on bluegrass and banjos, is because that was the. But then it's so messy being an American that people are like, well, the banjo's actually from Jamaica, and that's not really yours. I'm like, okay, well, stop nitpicking. I do. It's bluegrass, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is what you're talking about is definitely important, and what a lot of I think you will find a lot of interesting perspectives talking to Americans about cultural identity
Yeah.
and where
I
that comes from.
totally
But
know
yeah, so
that.
that means a
It
lot
was
to Americans for you to talk about that.
yeah. It was it was just fun feeling suddenly to feel cultureless.
Yeah,
Uh, kind of. I don't know cultureless is the right word, but like just a strange feeling that, oh, I don't have any.
it's like a gap. It's you feel a little empty. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then I actually just need to step out on my field and then look at the grapevine I have on,
yeah, right.
on my back. Yeah, they're like, okay. um, yeah, it's I shouldn't. I had the feeling, and now it's like getting away. So it's
Yeah, and music. I'm assuming music has been a big part of that for you.
for the roots.
For getting or for at least dealing with that feeling of not
No,
cultureless but cultural homeless, or whatever term you want to use.
actually, I was doing all this with Heilung and see all the native people doing, because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
native people really have hard time to have the home and space, and I was like, oh, I don't have anything for fight for. Like it's it's I don't know. It's hard to explain, or it's like
It is. It's especially hard to
because
explain in a second language. I'm sure
yeah, and
if
also
this
just
conversation was in Danish, you'd have right? It's a
no,
little unfair at that point.
no. I think also it's hard in Danish, but it's like it's also hard to explain sometimes the feeling that you feel about something you feel weird about or some. It's just
Yeah,
fascinating to see. uh, Native Americans,
Mhm.
because they have just been through so much bad
Mhm.
things, and just it's amazing to see how they gathering uh, the culture back,
Mhm.
and and
It's
and
inspiring, yeah.
yeah, and 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 then I look at myself like I don't I don't have that kind of thing, but it's like the higher level of thinking,
Yep.
like, and then if I go a bit more down, I know like, okay, I'm actually doing all this Viking reenactment
Mhm.
markets is it's different, and you cannot compare it, or is, but it's like, yeah. So it's I feel it's good for myself
Mhm.
to get out there and have that feeling, uh, that that, that have this, yeah, culture kind of, I don't have it, and then bring it back, and then like, okay, and to be more solid, kind of.
Yeah, it is. It definitely helps to be rooted. One of my favorite things, one of my favorite quotes is the Einar's favorite, Einar Selvik's favorite line is that a or oh, now that I'm on the spot, I can't remember it perfectly, but he has that thing he loves to say about how a strong tree needs strong roots, or something like that, and that's always resonated. So, Jakob, I have held you hostage here on Zoom for almost 2 hours now. So what I would like, but it hasn't felt like 2 hours.
No.
But what I would love to just, close this wonderful conversation off. It's been so nice to meet you, man. Um,
You too.
this is going to be your second time at Red Rocks.
Yeah.
How is that? What is it like playing at Red Rocks, dude?
It's amazing.
It's
Uh,
this legendary venue. I just can't picture a better venue for Heilung in the United States than
no,
an amphitheater built into the earth and from the earth, right?
yeah, it's 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 amazing, and it's like there's one of the staff, I talked with, and she told me that from the stage up to the highest cliff, it's like the same as a big band. So that's the tall, how tall it is.
Mhm.
And it's just like, wow, it's amazing. It's huge, and no, it's really gonna be amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. Uh, and I was last time, uh, I create a stick with small sticks on it,
Mhm.
so I can kind of had this snare kind of sound, so like
Yeah.
hitting for Fulgia. Uh, I use it like, um, and then I was sitting on this empty stage, and we were building. I was like, I was just, and there was one uh, stage manager from US, and he was like, it's just hilarious about how it just sitting there on this amazing stage and just hitting this wood, like it
Yeah, those
was really fun.
acoustics must have been amazing, yeah. So
Yeah,
I wish I could go. I didn't grab tickets in time, but what I definitely want to hang out with you guys at the very least. I'm definitely going to Nick's. Are you both doing a drum workshop in Denver together?
no,
No, okay, so he has his, and just so you know, I'm way more of a hiker than Matthias is. So if you want someone to show you some nice hiking spots, I'll be your guy. All right, I'm right up the road in Boulder.
oh wow. Yeah, that would be nice. I
Yeah,
would.
I'm the grungy hippie. I'm the one that's always outside fishing and rolling around in mud. So
That's amazing. That's really cool. Yeah, that could be nice.
hey man, it'd be really nice.
Yeah, but I think the most epic thing about last time Red Rocks, like actually playing acoustic drum for 10,000 people.
It's so
I,
awesome, dude.
it was like we had the we have the fun system
Mhm.
going down, and we all have the music in our in-ears. So we had the in-ears problem, but the speaker was just keep going, and it was like, and then it came back, and then how no, it went off
Mhm.
at some point. I was like, totally missed.
I remember Nick telling me about that. It was like a freeform jazz for a minute where everyone was just like, we're all on different time signature.
Yeah, it was just in the very ending of Gagalder,
Yeah.
and it's it's like 3 4 2 2 3 4 3,
Mhm.
and like you need to count it kind of and be
It's a
good
hell of a
at it.
tune to lose your click on.
Yeah, and there was like, wait, Christopher was like playing, and I was playing, and Nick was playing, and like, oh, where are we? Like, and we just need to keep going. I was like, and from so that was in our ears,
Mhm.
and the speakers still worked, and then suddenly the speakers were gone, but we still have all the sound in in our ears. So we, I have no clue that we actually was playing acoustic.
I
Uh,
remember people thought that it was part of the show. People thought that the cutoff because everyone in the audience thought that the power had just gone out,
yeah,
but that it was on purpose. Everyone thought that it was an on purpose acoustic jam. And it's so funny, Nick was telling me his side, you're telling me your side. It's so funny that like to your
yeah.
perspective is like, oh no, this is getting fucked up. But everyone in there is like, yeah, acoustic Heilung.
But I think the most fascinating thing about it is actually it's the most perfect spot you ever can get is Red Rock because it's from the 1930 or something and 20, and it's like built to amplified acoustic. Uh,
Exactly.
so it was. I don't think you can get a better if it had been in a venue like you have that like totally deaf. Um, but I think that's the most epic view for my own like playing. It was in Il Danzorin
Mhm.
where one of I think it was 2.5 number or something where it was actually gone. I just bang blow. It was amazing. Um, yeah,
Oh yeah,
I
that's
think.
great, man.
But I hope it's gonna be even better show.
They'll be ready for you this time. Hey, there are no power outages on our clock. All right.
No.
Yeah, you guys are gonna do great. It's always one of the biggest musical events of the year for people into this sort of music. It's just it's almost like a pilgrimage, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah,
a lot of people. So I know people coming in from the Northwest, people coming in from Ohio, people coming. It's people travel to see you guys in that location specifically. So
yeah.
uh,
It's really
it's
amazing.
gonna be really neat.
Yeah.
So where can people find you if they want to learn more about you, if they want to follow you on Instagram, follow your music? Where can people find you, Jacob?
Uh, Instagram and Facebook mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I think. No, it's yeah. It, my name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're pretty easy to
yeah,
find.
yeah. Uh, I I tried to make a homepage and then I didn't have the time and I, yeah. Um,
I very briefly had a website for the Nordic Sound Channel, and after a few months, I was like, "Fuck this! I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't care about it." It's
yeah,
so I feel you. Well,
yeah,
Jakob, it has been so awesome to talk to you, man. Thank you so much for. I always like to thank you guys specifically who come on here without having ever talked to me before or met me before.
yeah.
It's very it means a lot to me that you guys would take the chance to talk to some strange American with a weird fixation on Nordic culture.
And had
So
this weird beer.
yeah, yeah, people are gonna think we're related. So man,
Yeah,
seriously, thank you so much for coming on here. Really looking forward to hopefully seeing you around April, and if not, we'll keep in touch.
yeah,
Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for coming on the channel to share your experience with us. All right.
always. Thank you for inviting me, and
Yeah.
let us have this another nerdy drum
Oh yeah,
class.
man, you're definitely coming back. I'm definitely gonna have you on to talk more about your workshop and stuff like that. All right.
Sure, if you
All
like.
right. Cool. Thank you so much, man. Take care. Hang out after I hit the hang up button. All right. All right. Cool. Thank you everyone for listening. Take care.